Welcome to True Crime Threads, where real-life mysteries unfold. Today we delve into the tragic case of Hannah Collins, whose search for her father's hidden secrets ended in a shocking tragedy. The story unfolds in Maplewood, a quiet, small town where life moves at a slower pace, and people feel safe in the familiarity of their neighbors and routines. But that peace is shattered one cold autumn morning when Hannah Collins, a bright 21-year-old college student, is found dead in her family's home. To those who knew her, the news is unbelievable. Hannah was well-liked, smart, and determined, a young woman with big dreams of making a difference, especially in her community. She was known for her caring nature and her close relationship with her mother, while her connection to her father, Michael, though solid, seemed more distant in recent years. The initial belief is that Hannah's death might have been a tragic accident, but soon whispers start to spread. Close friends mention that in the weeks leading up to her death, Hannah had seemed distracted and nervous. She had become quieter, more withdrawn, as if something was weighing heavily on her mind. While her family was oblivious to this shift, a few friends noticed changes, particularly her tendency to linger at the local library or spend long hours alone in her room. Detectives look into her life, combing through her recent activities. They quickly find that in her final days, Hannah had been digging into her family's past, especially that of her father, Michael Collins. A well-respected businessman, Michael was a familiar face around town, known for his generous contributions to the community. He seemed like an ordinary, reliable man with a solid reputation. However, evidence in Hannah's journal suggests she'd uncovered details about her father that disturbed her deeply, secrets he'd worked hard to keep buried. Friends revealed that Hannah had recently confided in one of them, mentioning a shocking discovery related to her father. She didn't give specifics but hinted it was something significant, something that could disrupt their entire family. They remember her saying she felt betrayed, struggling to reconcile this information with the father she thought she knew. What's more, a search through her bank records reveals that Hannah had been withdrawing small amounts of money over several weeks, enough to raise suspicions that she was preparing for a drastic change, possibly even planning to leave Maplewood. As investigators begin piecing together these unsettling clues, they're faced with more questions than answers. Had Hannah stumbled onto something dangerous? Why was she feeling so isolated and desperate? And could it be that her discovery, whatever it was, had been significant enough to provoke violence? The pieces of her life seem ordinary on the surface, yet each clue paints a darker picture. The sudden, mysterious loss of such a promising young life leaves Maplewood reeling, and her family devastated, especially her father, whose silent grief soon takes on a sinister edge in the eyes of the detectives. As the investigation deepens, detectives begin focusing on Michael Collins, Hannah's father, whose carefully maintained reputation as a devoted family man and successful businessman had always seemed beyond reproach. But Hannah's search history and the notes found in her room reveal she had been exploring details about her father's past that had left her both shocked and disturbed. The investigators find that before moving to Maplewood, Michael had lived under a different name and had ties to another state. His life prior to Maplewood was entirely hidden from his current friends and neighbors, a stark contrast to the transparent image he maintained publicly. Determined to understand what Hannah had found, investigators dig into Michael's previous life and uncover something extraordinary: a hidden relationship with another man. This revelation shocks the team, as it paints a vastly different picture of Michael's past. The relationship, which had been serious, had ended abruptly when Michael moved away and eventually started a new life in Maplewood. For reasons only Michael knew, he had kept this part of himself and his history completely hidden from his wife, his daughter, and everyone in the town. Hannah's notes reveal her turmoil over this discovery. As a young woman who admired her father's principles and dedication, finding out about his past left her feeling betrayed and shaken. Friends later tell investigators that Hannah had confided in them about feeling like her entire life had been built on a lie, and she struggled to understand why her father had hidden so much of himself. According to her notes, she believed that her father's secrecy went beyond mere privacy, that he had actively deceived her and her mother about his past life and identity. Investigators also find hints that she had begun to piece together the mysterious and tragic circumstances around the death of her father's former partner, Michael's long-term partner, before meeting her mother. As the detectives review these clues, a chilling question arises: could Michael have taken extreme measures to bury his past? They wonder if he feared Hannah's discoveries could tarnish his reputation or destroy his family. Hannah's investigations seemed to center on this previous relationship and how abruptly it ended, leading her to question her father's involvement in his former partner's fate. And as these dark secrets come to light, the seemingly ordinary life of Michael Collins begins to unravel, revealing a hidden layer of deception that no one in Maplewood had suspected. The more investigators dig, the more convinced they become that Michael's past might have cost Hannah her life. The tension mounts as they delve into what she had learned, fearing that she might have uncovered something far more dangerous than she could have ever anticipated. The investigation takes a darker turn as detectives delve further into the secrets of Michael Collins's hidden past. Michael's previous relationship had ended suddenly, and not in a way anyone had anticipated. Investigators discover that his former partner, a man named Thomas Green, had died under mysterious circumstances years before Michael settled in Maplewood. Police records from that time list Thomas's death as accidental, but the case notes reveal rumors and suspicions that were never resolved. Detectives in Maplewood now wonder if Thomas's untimely death was truly an accident, or if there might be a connection to Michael's abrupt decision to start over under a new name. Michael's carefully crafted image begins to crumble under scrutiny. Friends and neighbors had always seen him as an upstanding member of the community, a man committed to his family and business. But investigators now realize that Michael's life in Maplewood was meticulously designed to keep his past under wraps. The idea that his secrets were so closely guarded raises suspicions. Did Hannah's discovery threaten his carefully constructed new life? And if Michael had been willing to reinvent himself entirely to escape his past, could he have been desperate enough to kill his daughter to protect it? Financial records show that, just weeks before Hannah's death, Michael made a series of unusual transactions. He withdrew large amounts of money, amounts that seemed excessive even for someone in his line of work. Investigators trace these withdrawals to an offshore account, raising concerns that he might have been preparing for a drastic move, possibly anticipating that his secrets would soon be exposed. The timing of these financial maneuvers is too close to Hannah's recent discoveries to be a coincidence, and the transactions add to the growing theory that Michael feared his past was about to come crashing down. Meanwhile, Hannah's autopsy reveals shocking results. Traces of a rare poison were found in her system, indicating that her death was far from accidental. Detectives now realize that Michael may have had the motive, the means, and the opportunity to silence his daughter permanently. As they gather evidence, they piece together a possible scenario in which Michael, desperate to preserve his image, saw only one way out when Hannah uncovered the truth about his past. The growing suspicion around Michael stirs unease throughout Maplewood. Once a pillar of the community, he now faces the relentless gaze of detectives and the horror of friends and family who trusted him implicitly. In the days before her death, Hannah's friends remember her mentioning her father's increasingly erratic behavior, describing a newfound coldness in him that terrified her. It becomes clear that she felt unsafe, sensing something dangerous was at play. Her fear was well-founded, but tragically, no one acted in time. As detectives close in on Michael, they suspect that Hannah's knowledge of his past and the dark questions surrounding Thomas's death drove him to extreme lengths. The pieces begin to form a damning portrait of a man who had been willing to kill twice to conceal the truth, first his lover, and then his own daughter. The investigation takes a startling twist when detectives discover that Michael's younger brother, Robert, might also be connected to Hannah's tragic death. Initially, Robert's involvement seems improbable. He lives in another state and had always been seen as the quiet, dependable sibling with little connection to Maplewood. However, as detectives comb through Hannah's belongings, they find a series of letters and emails exchanged between Hannah and Robert in the weeks before her death. These messages reveal that Hannah had reached out to her uncle for support, confiding in him about her father's secrets and her discovery of his hidden past. In her notes, Hannah describes feeling uneasy around her father and increasingly frightened by the dark truths she was uncovering. According to her writings, Robert had seemed supportive, encouraging her to keep searching for answers and suggesting that her father's past might reveal even more unsettling truths. Detectives now question Robert's true intentions. Was he genuinely concerned for his niece, or was he subtly manipulating her, pushing her further down a path that would inevitably lead to confrontation with Michael? As they dig deeper, detectives uncover a bitter family history between the two brothers. In their youth, Robert and Michael had been close, but tension grew over time, fueled by rivalry and resentment. When their parents passed away, their inheritance caused further division, and Michael ultimately received the bulk of their estate. Robert, feeling cheated and embittered, drifted away, distancing himself physically and emotionally from his brother. For years, he harbored quiet resentment, and it becomes clear that this animosity may have never truly faded. Detectives begin to wonder if Robert saw Hannah's discovery as an opportunity, a chance to get revenge on his brother by using his own daughter against him. The evidence becomes even more damning when detectives find that Robert had recently made an unexpected trip to Maplewood around the time of Hannah's death, something he had initially denied. Surveillance footage from a gas station near Michael's home places Robert in town the night before Hannah's body was discovered. His sudden appearance raises red flags, leading investigators to suspect he may have orchestrated a scenario to bring Michael's secrets to the surface, knowing the consequences would be disastrous. As more pieces fall into place, a disturbing theory emerges. It appears Robert may have set events in motion, planting seeds of doubt and fueling Hannah's need to uncover the truth. By encouraging her investigation, he may have intended to destabilize Michael's life and possibly provoke an act of desperation. While Robert himself may not have directly harmed Hannah, his influence and manipulation seem undeniable. Detectives consider the possibility that he acted as a silent catalyst, hoping that Michael's fears would drive him to violence. Maplewood, once a quiet town, is now awash in whispers and speculation as news of the investigation spreads. The once reputable Collins family is now tainted by scandal and suspicion, and townsfolk can only wonder at the depths of betrayal that led to Hannah's tragic death. Detectives realize that they may be dealing with a conspiracy between brothers, bound by decades of rivalry, envy, and dark secrets. The case becomes more complex, revealing a family fractured by greed and jealousy, ultimately leading to the death of an innocent young woman who became an unwitting pawn in their silent war. The final chapter of the investigation reveals the full horror of Hannah's final days and the tragic truth of what happened that night. As detectives piece together the evidence, they uncover a hidden folder on Hannah's laptop containing video diaries she had recorded in the last weeks of her life. These entries offer a haunting glimpse into her state of mind. She appears increasingly anxious, her tone tinged with fear and betrayal. In her recordings, she speaks about her isolation and the emotional toll of discovering the secrets that her father had kept hidden for so long. She talks about feeling trapped between loyalty to her family and the unsettling knowledge that her father's past was darker than she had ever imagined. Hannah's diaries reveal that she had indeed been planning to leave Maplewood. She feared for her safety, sensing a mounting tension at home, especially after her Uncle Robert's arrival. She describes Robert as a figure who seemed to simultaneously encourage her to confront her father while subtly stoking her fears. Detectives realize that Robert may have been manipulating her, amplifying her suspicions and reinforcing her fears to push her into an inevitable confrontation. He had become a shadowy influence, pushing her forward while her father's behavior became increasingly erratic and intimidating. In one of the final videos, recorded just days before her death, Hannah mentions an intense argument with her father. She describes his reaction as uncharacteristically cold and even threatening. His demeanor had shifted from anger to something darker, a coldness that made her feel she was in real danger. She expresses her conflicted feelings, hurt by the lies she uncovered, yet still longing for the father she thought she knew. The fear in her eyes is unmistakable, and she ends the recording saying she isn't sure whom she can trust anymore. The most chilling evidence arrives when investigators uncover surveillance footage from the night of Hannah's death. Footage from a nearby camera shows her father, Michael, entering her room, his face filled with fury. The timestamp matches the estimated time of her death, placing him in her room during her final moments. Moments later, the footage captures Robert arriving at the house, his expression hard and determined as he meets with Michael in the kitchen. Together, they leave shortly afterward, confirming suspicions that the brothers may have conspired to silence Hannah for good. Being confronted with the mounting evidence, both Michael and Robert are arrested and charged. The courtroom reveals a tangled web of deception, jealousy, and betrayal, with each brother casting blame on the other. Michael insists he only wanted to protect his family, claiming that his actions were out of fear for his reputation and the life he had built. Robert, in turn, accuses Michael of being the true instigator, suggesting he merely provided the final push that led to the murder. But as the trial progresses, it becomes clear that both played a role in the tragic end of Hannah's life. Maplewood is left shaken, its once idyllic image forever tarnished by the darkness that lay hidden beneath the surface. Friends and neighbors grapple with the truth about a family they once admired. The town mourns Hannah's loss, haunted by the realization that her life was stolen by those who should have protected her. Her death leaves an indelible mark, a reminder of the destructive power of secrets and the lengths some will go to keep them buried.